Hey, this is a really long video. This is actually a revisit of a video that I've already done in the past. If you want to see the much shorter version, you can see that video popping up somewhere on the screen. Now, the difference between that video and this video is that this one actually cuts almost no corners, and I take the time to explain pretty much every single step. So kind of think about this like almost like the definitive or like the director's cut version of how to convert your model to VRM. Now, I've always been hesitant to do a video like this in the past because it's so long. So this video is going to be kind of a test. I chose to revisit this one specifically because a lot of people have been messaging me or writing in the comments that they've been having some problems or issues that I kind of glanced over in the original video. I normally don't ask for likes on a video, but it's like the only indication that I can get. And that'll show me that, hey, people want to actually have videos where no corners are cut and things are 100% explained and done in a really long video. This video is sponsored by GamerSupps. GamerSupps is like super great. It's keto friendly, 0 calories, 0 carbs, 0 sugar, no fillers. And it's a perfect energy supplement to mix in with pretty much anything. So I usually mix mine in with sparkling water. And if you use the link in the description down below, or you use the code Fofamit, F-O-F-A-M-I-T, you can get 10% off your entire order. And it helps support me. So first thing you're going to do is you're going to open up Unity Hub. And then in Unity Hub, you're going to go to Installs. If you don't see the official release for 2019 4.16 F1 LTS, wow, that's a mouthful. You can go to here. When you go to Add, you can go to Download Archive. And then when you're in the Download Archive, you're going to have access to all of the different versions of Unity. And we can see it right here. And then you just click on this download button to download it to your Unity Hub. You specifically should use this version because it allows for better compatibility if you ever decide to do things with the VSeeFace avatar format. Also, the latest versions of VRM recommend 2019 or later. And so now that you're back in your projects, what you should do next is go to New, go to the drop-down menu, and select your version of Unity. And then here you're going to go in the 3D templates, and you're going to go to 3D. You should name your project, and then you can also select this location. I'm just going to call this VRM Conversion, and then you're going to press Create. Now that you have your Unity project open, you're going to need another plugin. You're going to need UniVRM. The link for this is going to be in chat down below. You can see this right here. And you're going to be linked to a GitHub website like this. And you're going to see a lot of stuff here. What you're going to see in this corner is releases. And we're going to click on that, and it should have the latest releases. Now, sometimes they will have experimental versions. I do not recommend using this at all. Just use the regular release just for the best experience. We're going to be using the latest release. In this case, it's 0.66. And we're going to click on that. And then we're going to go down and we're going to look for the Unity package. So here's the top one, UniVRM Unity package. Once it is downloaded, you need to click and drag it into your assets. Now you can find it in the folder, or you can just do what I do and drag it from your Chrome window like this, and then drag it into your assets window in Unity like this. And then you're going to get a pop-up window that has like, basically it's like all the things that are going to be imported. We want all of these things because they're very important to converting your avatar to a VRM for VTubing. And you'll know it is successful is you'll see some new folders like this. And then on the very top, you're going to see UniGLF, which you're probably not going to be using, and then VRM 0, just like this. If you do not see those things on the top window, then what you should do is go to File, Save, and then Exit, and then restart Unity. I really, really recommend that you do not add this to an existing project. You should make this as a brand new project to avoid any possible problems. So I have some models that I have right here. These are FBX files. FBX files are the most common model format. So you're going to need the FBX files. I'm just going to grab one. And what you're going to do again, like I said, is just click and drag it in. I'm going to click on the model FBX. And then I'm going to I'm still holding, and I'm going to drag it into the assets folder, just like this. You're going to have your model right here in the assets, and you're going to see it appear there with like a little play sign that's going to allow you to like kind of see like a blowout view of all of the materials on it. What I like to do is I like to click and drag it into the scene like this. So from the assets folder into the scene, you're going to notice that it's going to be kind of placed in the middle of nowhere. So what you should do is, while it's still highlighted, if you unclicked it by chance, all you need to do here is go into the hierarchy and select the model right there. And then just press 0 on all the things for the transform, for the position, the X, Y, and Z. And now it's going to be in its proper position. But you'll notice one thing is that your model is going to be all gray. To fix this, we're going to go back into the assets window, and we're going to click on the model, and we need to do a couple things. One, we need to go to the rig tab, and then we need to change this to a humanoid model and press apply. Basically tells Unity to say, hey, this model is a human model meant for human things. Next, we go to materials. Now, this can depend on the model that you have. So I'm going to show you the two ways that I recommend doing this. One is going to use embedded materials, and we're going to extract the materials right here in the assets folder. And we're going to select OK. Now, if we're lucky, the textures and everything is going to be already embedded into the model. But as you see right now, they are not. We just get more gray. Just to make things a lot cleaner, we're just going to delete all these things by clicking on it in the assets folder. So sometimes a model will come with textures, and we have the textures right here. We're going to click and drag those into the assets folder, just like we did before with all the other steps. And so here are all of our new textures. So now what we're going to do is, in the materials tab, we're going to use external materials, and we're going to see if it'll automatically check for the textures that are here, and press apply. And it didn't. It kind of did, but it kind of didn't. So you can see right here, it didn't really bring any of the textures in. But this is fine. Now, if you might be asking, wait, so we could have just kept the same materials from before. That is correct. We could have kept the same materials that we deleted, added the textures in, and changed it. I just like doing it this way personally. I just find this a lot more easier. What you're going to do is, to change the textures on your FBX model, is we're going to go to the hierarchy, and you're going to click on the model in the root, and you're going to press this little drop down arrow. And then here you're going to see armature, or it might say something weird like root, but basically your armature, and then the rest of these are going to be your mesh. And then what's really nice is that it's going to actually highlight what part of the model this is. So I really recommend opening up your textures folder, and then what you're going to do here, you're going to go to, see, this one's looking for let me eyeshadow. So we're going to change this. We're going to click right here on where it says standard, and we're going to choose the shader to VRM Mtune. And we're going to do that for the rest of them as well. VRM Mtune, VRM Mtune. And we're going to start with the face. So right now there is no texture. So when I expand it on the Lemmy face, you see that there's no texture. So here, I believe this is the Lemmy face, as you can see it right here. And you're just going to click and drag it right here into the lit color alpha, just like this, and for the shade as well. And you can see, look, we have our face shade, just like that. Now there is another way we can do that. So we're going to do that for the hair, is instead of clicking and dragging it in, you can click on the little plus sign. It's really, really small, but there's a little plus sign right here, and it'll open up a new window, and then you'll be able to see all of the textures that are in your project. And then here we're going to be looking for the hair. which is right here. And then we're gonna make sure we add it again for the shade, just like that. Right here for this eyeshadow, you see how this eyeshadow, this is not really looking like an eyeshadow, it's looking just like a black line. So in this case, I believe usually the face textures are, so the eyes are usually part of the face. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna add that same texture, the face texture there as well. And we're gonna change this to transparent, just like that. So here in the rendering type, we went from opaque, which is the default, to transparent. And as you can see, that's looking more shadow-like. And those are the ways on how you can change the shader in the rest of your model. So all you gotta do now is just rinse and repeat. Sometimes certain materials that you'll see here in your model will actually share a texture or a shader. So here we clicked on, even though we added it here in the body, we added the hair. Here, when we actually go to the hair material, it's already filled in for us. So sometimes these are it's done this way just to keep things more efficient. So the only thing we need to change in here are just the ones that aren't affected. So like these sunglasses. And also a general rule of thumb is when you have parts of the face, most models that you buy will actually have this all integrated onto the face texture that you see right here. So you don't have to worry about that. Sometimes models will come with multiple options. So for example, this model has quite a few options. So we have 2 different shoes that you can see here that you can choose between. So all you need to do is that if you don't want a specific shoe on, all you have to do is select it in the model and then go into the inspector and uncheck the box that's up here. And then it's no longer going to be selected. Your model's almost ready. So you have all of your shaders on there right now. Now, I personally like to do this in 2 steps. So what you need to do now is you need to make sure that you click on the root in the hierarchy of your model. If you don't click on the root and you have it accidentally selected on something like this, and you go to VRM Export UniVRM, just like this, you're gonna get this export root error. You need to make sure that basically what it's saying is that you need to select the root of your model like this, and then go to VRM 0, Export VRM, and then here you're gonna have the option to change it to English as well. Adding a picture is optional. So here you can just add a title. So this will be like VRM Video 2. The version is 1, and the author is, I know the person who made this model is Sin. And then like if you can say like converted to VRM by Fofamit or something like that. This is what you should be doing. This will make your life a lot easier. It will take a little bit of extra time to do this. So when you're exporting, it's going to bring you by default back into this area. So what I really, really recommend is when you're exporting, go into your assets. And then right here, you're going to be exporting into the same project. And you're going to click save. So this will take some time. Because essentially what it's going to be doing is going to be importing and exporting the model at the same time. You'll know that the export and import has been successful if you'll see a new model that's right here. That's your VRM. And then you're going to have all of these extra things that are here. So like the model's name. So what you're going to do then is you're going to have this new prefab asset, and you're going to click and drag it into your scene. And here, what I recommend is the Y and the Z. You're going to be zeroing it out in the inspector. And then when you're clicking on the root of your model in the hierarchy, you can drag it from side to side. You can have more than one model in the scene at the same time. That's fine. And now you have your new model that is right here. Hey, so before like anyone types in the YouTube comments, yes, I look different. Yes, I have a chair now. Yes, I have a microphone. No, I didn't suddenly upgrade. This is just my streaming setup versus my, sometimes I do on YouTube. And I'm just filming this in 2 separate parts. All right, so now that you have your model pretty much converted, all we need to do now is basically a couple things. You have your VRM model right here. The first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna work on the eye look. So in order to do the eye look, what you should do is you have your camera in your scene right here. So move the camera to be about over here. It doesn't matter if it's facing the actual avatar itself, but you want to make sure that you move it in front of your avatars. Then when you select your VRM model in the hierarchy right there, you're going to go to the first person script and then the VRM look at script. So then what you're going to do is you're going to set the target to be the camera by clicking and dragging it from the hierarchy to the inspector. And then you're going to expand your VRM model, like I just did right here by clicking on the little arrow. And then you're going to expand the armature, the hips, the spine, the chest. And basically what we're looking for is we are looking for the head, which is what we have right here. So we're going to click and drag the head down to where it says the head. So we have the head and then the target. What we're going to do now is we're going to hit the play button, and then we're going to click on the scene, and then we're going to move the camera back and forth, and we can see right here in this bottom corner, we can see the avatar's eyes moving a little bit, and it's not moving enough. So what you're going to go here is you're going to go for the left eye. So you're going to go down to the degree mapping, and for the horizontal and outer and inner is what we're going to be setting right now. So we want to have a little bit more eye movement, and this is going to be the eye movement that's going to be done with the webcam, as well as the eye movement done by a Tobii eye tracker. And basically just this is a thing that's going to be different per model, so you're just going to have to kind of play around with the settings while in play mode like this. And what I recommend doing is just kind of pushing it as far as you think would be good. So I think actually here about 42 would be good. So let's check out 42. And 42 seems to be good. Now we're going to do the vertical up and down. You see the eye goes up and down a little bit. So let's try 42, see what that looks like. So the up seems to be good, but maybe the down could be a little bit more. So we're gonna maybe try 62. Yeah, that's good. So then what you're gonna do now is, before unhitting the play button, you are going to go to the VRM look at bone analyzer script, basically what we've been doing the degree mapping on. And you're going to go to these three dots, and you're going to click on it and go to copy component. Then you're going to unpress the play button, and you're going to notice that all of your settings have reset back to what it was previously. So you're going to go to the drop down menu here, the three buttons, and you're going to go paste component values. And then all the settings that you had previously are now there. So now when you go back into the play menu, go back to the scene, and you're going to see all your settings are the same as before. The next important thing is going to be your expressions as well as your lip sync. So you're going to look up for the VRM blend shape proxy script, and you're going to double click that, and you're going to have the default expressions here. So neutral, you want to make sure that you do not touch the neutral expression at all. Leave it alone. And then we're going to do a, e, u, e, o. So a, e, u, e, o. These are the mouth shapes that your mouth makes when you are making these sounds. Your model should already come with these by default. So when you click on it, you're going to see the different meshes that have a shape key / blend shape on them already. So we're going to expand it, and they should be named properly. So in this model, as an example, it's labeled a. So we're just going to go like this. Click on the next one, and we're going to just copy this procedure. E, click on the next one. U, e, and o. Just like that. Next one is blink. So what you're going to do is just going to look in your shape keys and see if there's a blink there. Is there a blink? Hopefully there's a blink. So if you're like me and you just spent like more time than you're willing to admit looking for the blink, sometimes it'll be hidden. Like here, it says I smile. That's the blink. And then you're gonna go for your expressions. So here, if your model doesn't already have like a shape key set for joy, because some models will already have that, this one does not. So what you can do is you can just combine a bunch of shape keys to make a joy expression. So here I'm going to use like the eye smile. I'm going to do mouth fun. See, you can see that right here, like that. And then the angry face. Let's see, does this one have eye scornful, mouth anger, like that. Sorrow, eye slant down, mouth sorrow, and fun. We're gonna do like eye wide, eye star, and let's say mouth fun 4, just like that. And a lot of these are gonna be just kind of like, you have to play around with them, especially if your model doesn't already have like a shape key that just does it all for you. I've personally found that look up, look down, look left, and look right aren't used very often. I've yet to find in a VTubing app that most people use that actually use this, but you would make these the same way if your model has the shape keys already for the look expressions. And then blink left and blink right, you should be using this, especially if you're using VSeeFace. If you want to make your own expression, you just press the create blend shape clip, just like this, and then you're going to have a pop-up window and you're just going to name whatever you want to name. So I'm just going to call this one like shock as an example, and I'm going to click on it, and it's just going to be just like before. So we're going to make a shocked expression with like eyes wide, eyes white, and then let's see, mouth large O, like that. And there, we got a shocked expression. Now, one thing that's kind of missing from this model right now, so we got the expression, we have the lip sync. Right now, what we're missing is physics. So right now, you can see like my hair moves from side to side. We want to add this to the model. So how do we do this? So what you're going to do is click on your model in the hierarchy, and then you're going to expand this like here, and then you're going to be expanding the armature. And then what you're going to do is just try to expose as much of it as you can. Now you have two options to do this. You can click on the actual thing that you want to add the physics to, like here, and then you can add the component. Personally, what I recommend that you should be doing is on your VRM model, you're going to have this thing called secondary. And in the secondary section, you're going to see a spring bone already made for you. So we're going to just keep this, and we're going to do the hair. Basically, what you're going to do is the VRM spring bone, this is your physics. So we're going to do the hair back first. So we're going to click and drag the hair from the head into the root bone right here, and it should expand, and now you're going to see the hair back. And then I'm going to also do the same thing for the front. And now that's in the root bone. So if you want to see what this looks like, we're going to just press the play button and then go back to the scene, and we're just going to kind of use the WSAD keys to zoom in, just like this. And then now we have our model right here. And let's see how the hair moves. So if you have this kind of result for the hair, so you can see the hair is kind of moving as if it's like moving from one point and one point only, whereas versus my hair, you see how it's not doing that, right? So how do we fix this? The solution is simple, but inconvenient. So we're going to go back to the secondary part, and we're going to go here, and we're going to go back to that same one. Now you're going to have you might have a bunch of these. So there's going to be a comment section right here, and you should just type in kind of like labeling what it is, just so you don't lose track of things. So we're going to call this one hair. And then if you don't want to delete these one by one, because you can right click and then delete array element, just like this. What I like to do, if you're just going to be clearing it, just type in size 0, just like that, and that'll just automatically delete it for you. So the issue was that the root was set to one place. So basically everything was being bound and controlled from one place, but we want to have it so it's spread out. So what you're going to do if you have this problem is you're going to expand it, and then try the next route down. So the next, basically the next in the hierarchy. So like think of it as like you're going to go one step down, just like this. Oh. And you're going to be clicking and dragging that from the hierarchy to the inspector. Just like we're doing right here. And let's try that again and see what it looks like. So we're going to click on the model in the hierarchy, and then we're going to click on this arrow right here, and we're going to see. And as you see here, the hair is now only moving from the next step down versus from the top. But now we have a new problem. As you can see right here in the corner, is that the hair is actually going through the head, as you see right here. And how do we prevent this? You need to add something called a collider. So we're going to go to the head. So what you're going to do is click in the armature and then look for the part of the body that's going to, you want to add the collider to. So basically what a collider is, it prevents the whatever you're adding physics to from going through it. So kind of think of it like adding a wall or a barrier. So here we have the avatar's head, and you should see this little arrow section just indicating where the head is. So once you select on the head, you're going to go to add component, and you're going to type in VRM, just like this. And you're going to look for spring bone collider group. And we're going to be adding a spring bone collider group. Now you can see here, it's you can see the size of it just by it's outlined in pink. You can change the color here if you want to. And then here you're going to go expand it and go to colliders from the inspector. And then you can change how many elements you want to have here, but we're going to do that in a moment. So you're going to see element 0, you're going to expand that. And then here you're going to have a couple options. So what I do recommend is changing the Y offset. So it's going to be going up to 0.1. And the reason we're doing that is now we can actually easily grab it and move it around. And as you can see, it's a little bit too big. So we're going to change the radius a bit to move it down just like this. And what you want to do is you kind of want to have to move it so it's like kind of like just basically where the skin is going to be, where you don't want it to collide with. And now we're going to add a second one just like this, number 2. And we're going to click and drag that about there. And we're just going to quickly check the size. You can see it's a little bit too big. Actually, right there is good. So now we have 2 colliders. And then we're going to go down to back to the secondary component. Make sure we select our spring bone in the secondary component. And we're going to select the head because it has a collider on it now. And we can click and drag it from the inspector, so the hierarchy, to the inspector, and then in the collider groups, just like that. So we can see this in action by pressing the play button, going to scene. And then once again, we can see now difference of before and after. Now the hair is no longer going through the head. It's no longer clipping. And that's how you add a spring bone for physics and a collider. So as an example, another thing that you could do is you can go to here, the right shoulder, upper arm, and you can add colliders to each of these components, and then make sure that in the secondary, you add it as a collider group there. And then that way your hand can collide with the hair. And essentially you can add a spring bone collider to anything that has a bone on it. So now we're pretty much ready to export. So just to keep things simple for this video, I don't recommend doing it this way. I recommend exporting it to a separate folder, and I'm going to show you why in a moment. So we're going to click on our VRM model in the hierarchy, and then we're going to click on the root and then go to VRM 0, export VRM. And then here we're going to call this one whatever the name of your model is, but add a final at the end. And you're going to see why in a moment. We're going to go to export. And like I said, I recommend exporting this to a new location. But for the sake of this video, we're going to be having it in the same folder. And then make sure that you have it set to a different name. So I'm just going to call this one Leamy VRM final, just like that. And the reason why you wanted to make sure that you keep it separated is because this way, if you have it in the same project, it can get very confusing. And you'll see your exact same model right here. And now, why am I doing it for the sake of this video? This is why. As you see here, this is the final exported model. It has all of the colliders, it has the physics, and it even has all of the expressions that we made. However, this VRM model seems to have it, but it doesn't. Now, let me show you. So we have the original one from here, and you can see that it's tracking just fine. However, there's no physics, and there is no lip sync, as you see. Because if you think about it, here, all the work that we just did on this model has not been exported. It's only saved in the Unity project, whereas this one is the actual export. So we're gonna go back and we're gonna go to character selection and we're gonna select the one we actually exported. And here we see that the lip sync is working like it should normally, and we have our physics in. So this is why you should always export your final avatar separately, just so that you can have it like in your avatar folder. And then you can keep the one that you're actually working on in your Unity project. Before I end this video, there is going to be one thing that I will mention, is that if your model, for whatever reason, is not by default in a T-pose, when you go to export VRM 0, when you're selecting on the root, and you go to export VRM, you can click on the tab where it says export settings. And then you can click on this button right here, and it's going to force your model into a T-pose. If your model is in anything but a T-pose, you're going to have a lot of problems. Your arms aren't going to be tracking properly. So make sure that if your model's not in T-pose, click on this button. It'll fix everything for you. If you have questions about the VTubing application that I was using earlier, or the VTubing application that I'm using now, check out my other videos. They should be appearing somewhere on the screen or down below.